Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends. Welcome back to r/Entitled People, where you come to hear stories about people who think they're better than others and deserve special treatment over everybody else. Guys, I hope you're having just the best day today. I know I am, because where I am, it's sunny, I've got my coffee, I've got some good stories to share. You beautiful people are here. Hey, I might even let Steve-O out of his cage today to get some water. Who knows? And in today's episode, I've got a treat for you. All of these stories today have one thing in common. It's all about entitled people getting what they deserve. The stories are super satisfying, and I do hope you enjoy them. So let's dive right in. Oh, and if you're new here, do hit that subscribe button for future entitled people stories. I work in a hot sauce store in a busy outlet mall. We're a well-liked, locally owned business and have many loyal return customers. But at this particular location, we also get a lot of tourists who are curious about our challenge items, or Hot Ones products. We have a large variety of samples available every day, literally like 100 hot sauces. Every so often, we get people who come into the store to ask to try the hottest sauce. So today, while I was selling items to people who were actually paying for things, a 10-year-old boy enters the store. Now, I always get wary when children come to the store alone because it's full of glass bottles. They usually dart straight for the shelves and pick something up, but this kid comes barreling towards me like a bullet. So while I'm making change for the couple buying some hot sauce, he calls out to me, "Excuse me," in a horrendous, whiny pitch. I ignore the rude interruption and continue my conversation with my customers. He parrots it again 12 times, back to back, and I thank these people and get them out of the store. Finally, I turn to him and say, "How can I help you?" At the same time thinking, where the heck are this kid's parents? He says, "Hi, I want to try the hottest sauce in the store." Ugh, not this again. I'm not dealing with this, not with a 10-year-old. I explained to him that the hottest sauce on the table is Hellboy Right Hand of Doom. It's spiked with a 6.66 million Scoville extract, and if you're not experienced with this kind of stuff, more than just a tiny bit can mess up a good part of your day. Take my word for it. Now, I explained to him that he has to be 19 years old to try it, and he has to sign a waiver, which is a lie. But I'm off in 30 minutes, so I don't care. And instead, just guide him to a tasty fermented habanero that he coughs his eyes out on before explaining to me that he could handle the right hand of doom, because his dad eats spicy peppers with him all the time. I say okay, and he leaves, thank God. So 15 minutes later, I'm interrupted by another customer. This time, it's a woman. She's in a blue blouse, and she's next to my sample table like a giant blueberry, blocking 20% of my floor space. She says, "Excuse me." The apple doesn't fall far. The customers I'm with are polite and excuse me to speak to her. She says, My son was here earlier. You did not let my son try the sauce. I want you to do it now." I explained to her that it has an extract in it several hundred times hotter than anything he's ever eaten, and that it can cause him severe discomfort, and I will not let him try it in my store. I explained that she's free to purchase the sauce and have him try it at home if she wishes. She explains to me that she married a Mexican man, and that I would not believe the things they ate in New Mexico City. When I asked what they'd eaten there, she said, "Things hotter than anything you have in the store." At this point, her daughter interrupts the conversation. Now, I was annoyed from the second I saw the kid, and now he's back 20 minutes later with 3 of them. At this point, I've pretty much had it with my day. It's 5:50, and I'm off at 6. I've had enough. I told her, "How about this? You can try the sauce, and if it's as mild as you think, I will let him try it." She agreed and grabbed her sample stick. I reached for the right hand of doom and unscrewed the cap. Its nuclear aroma sent memories of aches to my stomach. As she goes to dip the stick in the sauce, I warn her to only take a small amount. She grins and sighs and dips the stick all the way into the sauce, saying, "Did I ask for advice?" and smugly puts the toothpick in her mouth. Immediately she looks uneasy before throwing herself into pure agony. She's coughing, swinging her head back and forth, trying desperately to speak, but she can't muster any words. She drops her sample stick in the chaos, and after a few solid minutes of coughing and dry heaving, she manages a single word. She says, "Water." I explain to her that water will not help at this point. My coworker walks in the door just in time to witness the finish. The lady tells me the only reason she's coughing is because it went down the wrong pipe. She then immediately vomits into our garbage can. She then apologizes for spitting up. and leaves without saying anything else. I tossed out the trash with a smile on my face, and I clocked out. Hey man, sometimes you gotta let people figure it out themselves. I really do applaud OP for letting the mom try it first, instead of just giving in and letting her kids suffer, because you know for sure he's getting that attitude from mama. Guys, 6.66 million Scoville sounds absolutely insane. At that point, food becomes just painful to eat, not enjoyable. I don't know why people do it. So I'm a bartender at a very small place with a very regular and very loyal customer base. I had last night off, so I met up with another friend at another bar for a few drinks and some food. After supper, we decided to walk to the bar that I work at to cap off the evening. We get there and there's some good energy going on. The music's a bit louder than usual and there's maybe about 10 patrons in the bar. We have this one customer who's extremely wealthy. It's nothing for him to spend $200 to $400 per night multiple times a week buying everybody rounds. And as such, he's seen as royalty around here. So I'm sitting there having a really good time enjoying a beer and decide that I want to add a song to the jukebox. I grab a $5 bill and walk over, only to notice there's 63 credits showing on the screen. No big deal, I think. I'll just put my $5 in, request a few songs, and leave the 63 credits untouched. But no. Our wealthy regular, let's call him Jack, sees me perusing the jukebox and comes up and physically pushes me away from it. I ask him what the heck he thinks he's doing, and he says those are his credits, and no one's allowed to touch the jukebox till he's used them all up. At this point, he scoffs and says, "Do you even know who I am?" Now, I point out that I have my own $5 and no intention of using any of his credits. But nope, that's not good enough. No one is allowed to touch the machine until he's done with them. Now, I know it's not worth arguing, so I step back and he starts requesting songs till he's used up every single credit. Now, each song costs 2 to 5 credits, so he's put in a lot of songs. Each song also gives you the option to pay an extra 2 credits to have your song played next, but I noticed that he wasn't using it. This particular brand of jukebox has an accompanying phone app. I didn't have it downloaded prior to last night, but I do now. I calmly sat down at my table with my friend and put my plan into motion. I go to the App Store, find the app, download, install it, create an account, and purchase $10 worth of credits. I request 2 songs and pay the extra 2 credits to fast track them. I'm sitting there in quiet anticipation, and I can see that Jack is starting to get into a groove with the music he'd requested. His heart sinks when Bomb 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 by Sam and the Womp comes on, but no big deal, guys. His song must be next. Nope, it's Wannabe by the Spice Girls. He sits down dejected. I quickly purchase another $20 in credits and request Baby by Justin Bieber, Livin' La Vida Loca by Ricky Martin, Axel F by Crazy Frog, and Foil by Weird Al. And I fast track every one of them. Partway through Foil, I notice Jack sulking in his chair, so I purchase another 20 credits and proceed to request Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley, Who Let the Dogs Out by Baha Men, Numa Numa by Ozone, and Star Wars Cantina March by John Williams. Now, they're starting to realize that something's up, so Jack and a few staff who were on last night gather at the jukebox to see what's going on. At this point, the Cantina March is playing. They turn the jukebox off, then back on again, and each time, it's picking up where it left off. So at this point, I can't hold my laughter and let out a muted chuckle. One of my coworkers catches on and comes over with her phone in hand with the app open and shoves it in my face with a "How dare you." Now at this point, I quietly get up, down my last mouthful of beer, put my jacket on, and walk out without a word. I go home and proceed to log back into the app. I purchase another $10 and fast track All I Want for Christmas by Mariah Carey and Mickey by Tony Basil as one last bite me to Jack. I can only imagine the fallout I'm gonna face Monday when I show up for work, but whatever. My $40 was no less valid than his, and no one customer gets to commandeer the tunes for the entire night and physically block everybody else from touching it. I absolutely love this story. It reminds me of that one John Mulaney joke where he and his friend John were sitting at a restaurant and they did the exact same thing, except they played Tom Jones' What's New Pussycat over and over and over again, driving the whole place absolutely bonkers. So my stepdad's been the manager at the only bar in town for 15 years. The owners are 3 brothers, who also own several other businesses in the county. As a teen, I babysat the owner's kids. I had my first job washing dishes at the bar, and eventually ended up marrying one of the brothers' stepsons. It's safe to say that my family and the owner's family are pretty enmeshed. So this story happened a few days before Christmas. I was covering behind the bar because it was a crazy busy holiday with travelers and they needed some help. This entitled idiot shows up in all of his glory, complaining about the highways getting closed down on account of the storm. I'm pulling beers for the brothers and their wives, and my barback was running drinks, so he had to wait a few minutes. After dropping the beers off and grabbing limes from my mother-in-law, I hurry back behind the bar to grab the guy's drink order, before refilling drinks for the rest of the bar. This is the conversation as follows. The entitled idiot says, "Where the hell have you been? I'm a passing customer. I should not have to wait half an hour before you take my order." Now, at most, it was 5 minutes. I told him, "I'm sorry for the inconvenience, sir. I just had to run some drinks out real fast. What can I get for you?" The idiot says, "Rum and Coke." That's Coke, not Pepsi, and hurry up. I told him, "Absolutely. I will just need your ID and that'll be $6. He says, "ID? I'm obviously not a kid. Just get me the damn drink." I told him in the States we have to ID every person every time regardless of age, and I need to see some ID or I can't serve you, sir. He says, "Oh, really? How about I just call the owner and have him sort it out? Then you'll have to explain to your family why you lost your job before Christmas over something this stupid. You still want the ID?" I told him, "Yeah, I still need the ID, and the owner will agree with that." Now, at this point, the idiot actually pulls out his phone and makes a phone call. I don't know who he called, but it wasn't one of the brothers who's at the table that I can see from the bar. He hands me his phone, and an unknown man tells me that I just need to serve his friend's drink, or not even bother showing up for my next shift. Now, I don't have a regular shift, I'm just covering the regular bartender as a favor to the brothers. So at this point, I laughed at the unknown person and hung up. At this point, my mother-in-law and the oldest of the brothers are watching what's happening. The oldest brother comes to find out what's happening and he says, "What's going on here?" The guy says, "This girl refuses to serve me. I called the owner and this little idiot still won't get my drink." Brother says, "Oh, you know the owner?" "Yeah. Now get me my drink and this can all go away." The brother turns to me and asks, "Why won't you get his drink?" I told him he refused to give his ID. She looks at him and says, "Well, then she can't serve you." The idiot then says, "Do you work here or are you just being nosy because I can have you fired too?" So the brother then says, "Oh right, you said you know the owners." He then yells out to the other brothers, "Hey, y'all know this guy?" Now everybody in the bar is looking because the brothers are not people you don't notice yelling in a small space. The other brothers are confused and say no. Brother looks at him and says, "I don't know who you are either. Either hand over your ID or get the hell out of here." So long story short, he then throws a fit and is eventually physically removed from the bar by the two brothers. Oh my freaking goodness, this man actually called somebody that pretended to be the owner. Oh no. How freaking embarrassing is this, guys? Knowingly call someone that you know isn't the owner and getting called out for it. What the heck is going on? Some people just take "I know the owner" way too far. Way too far. So the day after Christmas about 10 years ago, my brother called me up and asked me for some assistance setting up some of his home equipment. He lived down the road from a store that specialized in discount china, so naturally it was extremely busy. Busy as in cars were parked everywhere, including on the grass that was in front of the store, and it was impossible to see around the corner if somebody was to pull out of the furthest exit. Unfortunately, the speed limit is 50 miles per hour. So I decided to play it safe and was doing roughly half the speed limit, perhaps 30 miles per hour, while going around the corner of the store. Even at this speed, of course, some guy decides to pull out without checking, and I couldn't stop in time to avoid hitting him. Now, I was driving an older car that already had some damage, and he had a small dent on his fender. So I get out of the car, take a look at the damage, and turn around to see a furious, older, red-faced gentleman in front of me. So right after I tell him that it doesn't look like much damage and there's no need to contact the police, he proceeds to scream in my face. He's screaming about how I just damaged his $100,000 Mercedes, how his car is worth more than anything I'll ever own, and how I was speeding and this is all my fault. He also said that I'm gonna have to pay for all of his damages, and if I don't, he's gonna sue me, blah blah blah. If you've ever been in an accident, you may know the type. He's messing with the wrong person though. A young woman driving by herself may appear to be easily intimidated, but I was just trying to be nice. I kept telling him that there's no need to escalate the situation, as we can exchange information and be on our merry way and let insurance deal with it. He said, no. He wants the police to come, to get me in trouble. I'm thinking, Okay, if you want to get the police involved, let's do it, buddy. I called the non-emergency line, explained that there's a very minor car accident, and the other driver was harassing me, insisting that it was my fault, so I would feel better if police were involved. After a 30-minute wait, an officer shows up at the scene. I, not being a total moron, sat quietly in my car and waited for the officer to come to me. The other driver felt that it was necessary to leap out of his vehicle, run over to me and say, "You're gonna get it now," and runs over to the officer and starts screaming and gesturing wildly. Now, I didn't catch what was said, but I did see the look on the cop's face and I was getting more and more amused. After being clearly told to get back into his car, the cop comes over to me and asked what happened. I told him what was going on and that I had actually slowed down because of how busy the business was. He nodded and went to go measure the skid marks on the road and confirmed that he believed that I was actually doing about 25 and complimented my thinking on safe driving in this specific situation. He then proceeded to write the other driver a ticket, and the other driver speeds off with his window down, flipping me off. At this point, the cop comes over to me, explains that he wrote it up as the other driver's fault for more than $1,000 due to the damage on his fender. He also stated that, "Darlin, I don't say this often, but I believe you should take that man's insurance company for every dime you can get." I love when people like this get what they deserve, guys. Like, yeah, it was a car accident, but that's no excuse to get out of your car and basically harass the crap out of the other person. Just because you can afford a nice car does not give you the right to treat others like crap. Good for you, sir. If you can afford a $100,000 car, you can afford a $1,000 ticket. And that, my friends, brings us to another end of our slash Entitled People. Guys, we survived another one. I hope you enjoyed the stories as much as I did. Entitled people getting what they deserve just brings a smile to my face. Guys, if you missed the last episode of our slash Entitled People, I will link it right here. A woman takes out her anger on OP's service dog and regrets it immediately. Check it out if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I love you.